So my name is Gautam. I work at Google, and I work in this group called the New Business Development Team, which we help run sort of new products. So new products basically means everyone knows Google's obviously search, but we actually have a lot of other products: Android, YouTube, and what I'm going to talk about today, Maps. So Maps, okay. So can we put the first link up for a second? Thank you. While you guys answer these questions. So yeah, I've been at Google for 5 years. A little different than most people here. I've actually previously, Google was actually my first job. Previously I was an entrepreneur. I was on the founding team of a company called Blue Mountain Arts in 2000. I dropped out of college and started to join these guys, a bunch of crazy guys doing e-greeting cards. I don't know if you guys, has anyone used bluemountain.com ever? All right. Awesome. It's good to hear that. It's awesome. So I joined that team. I went to Carnegie Mellon, dropped out of Carnegie Mellon, and was part of this interesting journey where we got acquired by Excite at Home. Anyone heard of Excite at Home? All right. Well, for those of you who haven't heard, it was actually a search engine before Google. There were others. So we were acquired by Excite at Home, and then after that, I started another company. Came to India to teach actually in 2007. And have been in India ever since, and joined Google in 2008. So Maps. So I was actually sitting on the plane. I said, I have to give this talk about Maps today. And I asked the guy next to me on the plane. I said, hey, Maps. What do you think of Maps? And so I looked up the definition. So just ask the audience. How many people use Google Maps or any other maps? Oh wow, that's interesting. So one thing I'm very proud to announce today is Google Maps is the #1 downloaded app on mobile. Isn't that amazing? #1 downloaded app on mobile. And I am proud to say today that Google Maps has drastically improved in India, and I've used it many times to catch my cab driver taking a longer route. How many of you use Google Maps today? Just today? Wow, isn't it incredible? Just today. I would say it looks like about 50% of the audience use Google Maps today. And out of those people who use Google Maps today, how many use it on mobile? Wow, that's amazing. So it seemed like out of the people that raised their hand, almost 80-90% used on mobile. I think that is what's transformative today. All the talks that we had today on art, agriculture, mobile, everything, they're all actually revolve in some way around maps. Maps is just more than just sort of this diagram of saying, what are maps? So since we were doing this talk about where do we go now, I thought, well, why don't we talk about where we came from? So let's put up the next tab. I'm going to show you, this was the first map in history. Is that interesting? This was it, little block. This is how we started mapping. Can you put the next slide up, please? And if you could just scroll down. This was the first map where they discovered that the Earth was round, okay? Just scroll down a little bit on this weird slide. So if you can see, it's Europe, Asia, Libya, okay? The ocean, that's it. This is what they thought the world was. And look how far we've come from now to where on your phone you can kind of see the entire world. You can go to New York. You can go to anything if you guys have used Google Maps. It's pretty amazing. So one of the things that's interesting, I'm gonna just pop up my notes, is that's where we started. This is 700 BC. No, that can't be BC, but it's a long time ago. Let me actually look at my notes to give you the exact date of that. Yeah, 6th century. This is a 6th century map, which is kind of interesting. So in 2005, hold on, is this thing?
Gautam, we have the questions whenever you
we have the question, yeah. So if you could pick the top 3, I'll answer. I'm just going to give a little background. Okay. Because before we know where we're going, we should know where we came from. So this is, I think, pretty important. So in 2005, only 15% of the world was mapped on a geocoded level. 15%. 15%, that's ridiculous. So you think about so you have London, New York, et cetera, but most of the world was not mapped on a geocoded level, which means you want to find a specific store, all the things you take for granted, all the things you guys complain, I can't find on Google Maps. Well, you know what? This is didn't exist before. Now we expect so much and so fast. We expect instantaneous. So, but one of the things that we did at Google was, we said, what if, we did this experiment, what if we allowed the world to actually map itself? So what if everyone in here got together and said, you know what, I know where my house is, I can put it on maps. I know where my mother dairy is, I want to put it on maps, and this could help the world. What if we did this? So I'm going to show you the next thing. It's a short video, it's about 15 seconds, where we actually mapped, you can make it full screen, we actually mapped Islamabad. This is done in 2 months. Look at this. The entire map was mapped by users, where this became the best map in Islamabad in 2 months. And we have so many stories of actually ambulances and people actually using these maps to actually get to destinations where they need to, not only for emergencies, but just in general. 2 months. Amazing. Mapped by people. Okay. Why don't we get the top 3 questions, and then let's see how the top 3 questions are.
The first one is a really important one.
Oh, really?
If Google were to buy a country, what country would it be?
Wow. So like nothing to do with maps. Luckily, all these questions are anonymous. I know we're going to get like these crazy questions.
Okay, serious question.
Okay.
When is Google Goggle coming to India?
When's Google Goggles coming in? Okay. So actually, there's 2 products. One's called Google Goggles, and one's called Google Glass. I'm assuming they mean Google Glass. And I'm going to explain the difference. So Google Goggles was a product, actually started a very close friend of mine named Shailesh, which was you take a picture of a object or an image, and it will actually do a reverse image search. So if you take a picture of like a book, it'll actually look up the book on the title and kind of tell you what it is. And it actually works today. So if you actually, if anyone has a Chromebook, I have a Chromebook I can show you, you can actually turn on your camera and put a book up or an object up, and it does an okay job. Google Glass was sort of used that technology. Another technology said, what if I had on my glasses, I'm not wearing a Google Glass right now, how would I interact with the world if I was able to have sort of this second screen like on my phone? So instead of walking around like this, what if I could actually interact? It's an experimental product. It's not about coming to India. You can go buy it in America. I mean, it's readily available. I mean, these are all global products now.
Will Google Maps be able to take care of dynamic changes in one-ways in Bangalore?
Dynamic changes. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's right. So the city of Bangalore is sort of obviously mapped, changes every day. Yes, it does. So the MapMaker technology that I showed you before, you can actually go to MapMaker, and you can actually upload the changes, and people do it all the time. So the maps are dynamically changing constantly. So that's actually absolutely true. Any other thematic questions?
Just generally, will Google Maps work as well in India as it does in the US?
Yeah, so how many people have used the new Google Maps, which we sort of announced a couple months ago? Anyone want to give a testimonial of how well it works? So I would encourage that, not only Google Maps, there's a lot of other companies. I don't want this to be like a product demo for Google. But just in general, maps in general are improving constantly. And, as they improve, they help us sort of solve these real world problems of getting there. What's interesting is, we heard stats like, something like 40% of the time we're outdoors. This is a crazy stat I heard, is we are actually going from one place to another place. That's how integrated maps are in. And India has a really interesting mapping culture, which is like all of India, when the British came, it was all really based on maps. They used ancient maps to kind of get here. So one is, we obviously think about maps as trying to figure out where we're going to get to or having some sort of purpose, but there's actually other interesting uses of maps. Maps can use to actually convey information. Someone want to guess what this map shows? Anybody? Any volunteer? We have a volunteer in the back. Go ahead. Who's probably reading something? Go ahead. That's correct. Wow, you should be on that Kaun Banega Crorepati show, man. Give a big hand. Just come up to the end. I have a little gift for you. Yeah, it's amazing. These are the only countries that don't use battery. So here's a way, we can actually, this visually shows that information in a much better way than if I just listed, the couple countries. I don't even know what countries these are. But if I had listed them, it'd be, this is actually a much more interesting way to kind of make that profound effect. Let's go to the next map. Anyone want to guess this map? Can you actually blow it up? If you hit Control+, it should kind of blow it up. Okay. So anyone want to guess what this map shows? Rajesh is here? Let's get Rajesh on the spot. Rajesh shows this is all the Indians of the world. This entire conference is not about India. I know everyone, like every time it's so funny. We're on stage, everyone's like, oh, India. We talk about India as a third person. We're like living in India. I don't know, why do we talk about it as a third person? No, this is actually the opposite of India. These are all the countries that Britain has invaded. These are all the countries that the British have invaded. Yeah, ironic since we're just passing August 15th. But this is, I'm just showing you examples of ways you can use maps to disseminate information. Let's go to the next one. Next tab, yeah. Oh, I forgot what this was. Oh yeah, what is this? What does this show? Yep, this shows the flight patterns all over the world. Now what's interesting is, we talked about economic development, we're talking about Silicon Valley, and we're talking about, should we move our companies here and there? But what's interesting here, you can see this is the connectivity of the world. This is how the world's really connected in terms of we're all flying here and there. I mean, all of us are, we're sitting in this room, we're all privileged, right? We've all been on these flights. How many people have been to Africa? How many people have been to subterranean Africa, not Johannesburg? Anyone raise their hand? Okay. How many people have been to London? The US? So it's pretty visual in terms of just the audience. It kind of shows what's going on. Let's open the next tab. We skipped one, but that's okay. Okay, yeah, this is my favorite. What does this show? This is for all the geeks in the room. What does this show? I want one volunteer. Ritik? Go ahead, you know this one. Come on, dude. This shows internet traffic. Internet traffic. And what it does is, it's kind of hard to see on this map, but if you kind of see it rolling by, well, it's actually very hard on the screen up there, but it actually shows you between day and night, internet traffic. And it shows you so when I showed you physical connection, how we're all connected in the world physically. This is how we're all connected on the internet, There was a joke on Facebook I saw today, which was like, anyone familiar with the Malkov's hierarchy, that needs a hierarchy? Anyone familiar with that? Maslow's, yeah. You want to explain it, Rajesh, since you were nodding your head? Ruthik, anyone want to explain the needs? No one wants to Google it and explain it? No? What? Google it? No? No one? I thought, Rajesh, you told me these were the smartest people on the audience, and as a speaker, I'm going to be the dumbest guy. Everyone can be a speaker. Basic needs self-actualize. Anyway, this funny thing on this said, the bottom need is Wi-Fi. This is that's become now a basic need. Wi-Fi. It's right above with food and water, Wi-Fi. So this kind of shows that. Okay, let's go to the next map.
1 minute.
Yep, we're almost done. Don't worry. So this is actually this is not what I wanted to show. It's fine. We had another map, but this is actually showing that not only what's interesting about maps. This is an interesting product called Chartspin, where you can actually create your own maps to kind of show this information. So all these, all you guys have companies trying to show information about how your products and services are used. You can actually use this product, for example, to actually create your own maps in the fact of the way I've shown. So maps aren't necessarily used for just driving directions or figuring out where you are. Okay, let's go to the next tab. Okay, let's show this. We'll show the first 20 seconds. So we're going to zoom in. This is a map showing how Dubai was built from 1984 to now. And you can actually see the islands being created, all of Dubai being created. It's incredible. And we're going to show it again in slow, just to kind of see. And there's no way you can kind of show this. This is unbelievable. Look at that. Visually show that. This is a glacier completely disappearing in 20 years. You can see the middle, it shows up again, and it's gone. And we'll just show it just one more time. After that, just pause the video. Gone. So, maps can also kind of tell a story. That's what's interesting about maps. You can not only is it used to show information, share information, it can actually tell a story. And these stories are very powerful. This is actually, we can exit out of this thing because I don't want to go over time. So one is that's one example of saying, maps, you can do. The other thing I want to show is if you could just pop up Google Maps for a second. I'm going to use just a minute to do a little demo of the new Google Maps. I apologize beforehand. One thing about Google Maps is sure, when we know where we want to go, maps are very interesting, right? You know where you want to go, that's great. But the new form of maps is actually interesting for exploring. So let's type in New Delhi. This is a live demo, I don't know if this will work. Hit enter. And you see there's a tab on the bottom called Explore This Area. Let's click on Explore This Area, and let's click on Restaurants. Now this is a visually new way of showing, these are all the restaurants that we've tagged so far in Delhi. And we can actually, if you see the demo there, you can do it by top reviewers or your circles. Let's do it by top reviewers. And, okay, we'll go back. If you could go back, I guess we don't have any experts. Let's go back to the list again. If you go back to maps again. And I just want you to pick a restaurant in Delhi. I want to show you an example of how we can actually make decisions based on where we live and helping find restaurants or cafes or whatever you would want, or entertainment, museums and things like that, by using maps, so where you're actually using it as a way to explore. Because that's the interesting about maps, exploration. So why don't you pick one of those red dots on the map, any one you want to pick, doesn't matter. Let's click on it. Here's a place called Gung, the Palace. I've never even heard of it. 8 people have rated it. You can have driving directions, you have the phone number, this, that, and you can actually have pictures. Let's click on some of the pictures. We'll show you that in a second. So here's an example. These are actually terrible pictures. This is the either user-generated pictures or pictures that people have put up. Let's go back to the question about ratings. So we're going to just show the ratings. Click on the ratings for a second, the reviews, yep. And these are the reviews that'll come up. They're coming on the plus page. Either this owner of this restaurant, which I didn't pick, owns. Go down. Let's show one more thing. Can we go back to the maps? Let's pick one of my favorite hotels, the Umaid Bhavan. Has anyone been to the Umaid Bhavan in Jodhpur? Okay. Wow, most people have not. So let's just show you that, and then I'll end the demo. So Umaid Bhavan in Jodhpur, UMAID. No, Umaid Bhavan Hotel. So here's an example. Now here's an example where we've done the whole hotel. We've done sort of full imagery, 3D imagery. We have done reviews and everything. Let's go to see inside. This is something I'm going to show you, which I've actually never shown before anywhere in India. I can actually take you now visually inside the hotel. So when we think about maps, we think about outside. What about mapping the inside? So we can actually walk through the entire hotel backwards and forwards. So if you want to just hit the bottom, actually just close down, there's a bottom tab on the bottom right that says hide imagery. Just click on that for a second, and you can actually now see the whole hotel from the front. Look at that, and you can zoom in and everything. So maps are not necessarily about the sort of outside and sort of finding on things, but maps is just a way of visualizing information in ways we've never done before. So please go forth, use maps, explore, and discover. Thank you very much.